And, meeting started. And the first order of business is to, anybody want to mention that, sir, done and approved?
And only done once.
I motion to approve past minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I was not at that meeting, so
So you abstain, that's
yes,
fine. Oh,
you
that's
got
right.
my,
Okay, with that, the meeting minutes are approved. As we said last week, I sent you, you have a hard copy with you from the, I sent you an electronic PDF. But we really want to work through, it's going to be a working meeting, talk about the new design that Mike has put forward. And will it meet the needs of what we do? Will it support the program? And thanks to the help of one of the volunteers, we have also incorporated in this packet the current existing structure for main level, the upper level. We can go back and reflect on what's there, what was originally planned for the building and what we're reducing it to. And I thought we'd start around, start with page one, the 4,055 square foot rendition, the new update from Mike. Based on,
Yeah, 6,000. 6,000?
wrong, sorry, my papers were back.
So you made it even smaller.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's on the line. Fire that architect.
Moving up, okay, I'm upstairs now. Okay, if you take a look at some of the things we wanted to achieve, I'm gonna go from left to right, and anybody chime in. The multifunction room on the right, I'm gonna go right. Really was to focus on a way not to reconfigure constantly the way they do today. We went in and measured the old building this morning.
You'll have to speak louder.
I'll try to.
Is it just me? Oh, because I can hear it, yeah.
The voice is, I'm losing my voice today, so. We measured the rooms today, we took a look. We were there this morning and they set up for exercise. So the tables were down. We left the tables, went back up, because they had to do lunch. And I'm not sure what they did late afternoon. But we really wanted to get this capability on the far right here, to have two multi-purpose rooms. One where we could serve lunches. And one where we could also have it set up for exercises or other activities without breaking them down up and down. And there's a list of things that go on in each one of these rooms, namely lunches and events. And I think they meet the needs. Peg, your thoughts and experience there?
Well, I was going to defer to Amy on that, but she's unfortunately on 2 weeks vacation.
Agreed.
So, I mean, I know what goes on every day there, but I don't know the nuts and bolts about, the space and things like that. I don't.
Well, if we compare to what we have today, right, we have at a lower level, we have 1,000, roughly 30 square feet for the downstairs open area.
Where are you on this paper? Maybe it's me, I'm not following you.
I'm on,
I thought we started on page 1. We've moved.
we're on page 1 and I went back to the old facility,
Okay, to the one we're in now.
the one we're in now.
Okay, I see it.
So if you look at these two examples, the main floor is roughly 1,030 square feet. The new proposed area is just over 2,100 square feet. That's making up not only that area, but also when you go to the upper level of the center, which is not very practical for things, which is this upper level. That area, those two areas now with the partition wall, I think supports the needs of the programs. Me being there for 2 years back, I've seen the fact that we do lunches there. For a 2-day-a-week program, we'd like to get to a 4. We also have exercises, we have the chorus involvement in there. We have the program activities on one half and then the meals on the others. when we have a major event, we could then take this room, open up the partition, and be able to seat 125 people.
Talking about the new.
To do those.
Just a question, I'm listening to you, right? Should I be looking at both the old diagram first and the upper diagram?
Yeah, I
Got
think,
it.
yeah, I think so, yeah, yeah.
Okay, and that is intended to be replaced by the first floor new design, right? 6,200 feet. Agreed?
Like, it's intended for comparison purposes.
No, I just say, but
Yeah.
he's walking us through what
Yeah.
happens. And so my first question is, do things programming occur on the upstairs of the current senior center at the same time as the
Yeah.
main floor?
Yes, it does,
Okay.
but it's very limited.
But but the new center this first floor has to
A
accommodate
little bit.
at the same, and to me, it's always gonna be about at the same time.
Right,
Because I hear a lot, this could all been single threaded, I don't think it is.
It's not,
And then I'm saying, when I hear lunch is served, well, you're serving lunch at the same time you're offering program. Or generally, you know what I mean?
yes, we are,
Okay.
we are.
So-
I'm kind of a visual person and I was hoping we could have some kind of like overlay, like this is what the first floor looks like now and then what an overlay would look like. That's just how I see things.
They're different dimensions, they're different sizes. So
Right, but that would kind of give us an idea of like,
But
oh,
you couldn't do an overlay page because it wouldn't, the rooms are different. I mean,
Right.
they're a different, the building is a different dimension.
Although the open area of the current building, it looks like it's 1,029 square feet.
Hmm.
And the multi-purpose room is proposed 2,134 square feet. So it looks like,
twice.
And if-
yeah,
and if you
just that
combine-
one room.
And you combine the top open areas, you're 1,300 or whatever. So you've got more space in that one multi-purpose room than you
Yes.
do.
In all
First.
three of those locations, or
Right.
well,
Correct.
in both of those locations.
And I think it's a little bit the open space to me. You still have things lined around the room, so it's not
Right.
really.
Yes,
Right,
but-
there is no
Right.
such thing as open space.
Yeah. I think that's important to note because when you think about the new configuration, you can design this for optimal use. This was not designed for optimal use.
Yes.
The one we're in now?
Right.
Yes.
I know.
There's storage, there's bookcases.
Right,
This is a blank slate.
Mhm.
What you do know is you've got about 800 square feet more here in this multi-purpose room than you do on the total open space in your current space.
And similarly, the kitchen
Yes.
is
the kitchen
going
is
from
substantially
161
larger.
square feet to 542.
Not been in there.
So, right, so now,
You gotta go outside to change your mind, right?
That's
Yeah.
operating under the premise that for every one person who functions in that room, they need approximately 200 square feet. So, we have 2.5 people that can be in our new room, in our new kitchen. But yeah, that's where that comes from.
that's industry style.
I was gonna say, because,
We can't forget,
yeah, we wouldn't be able to serve a meal.
No, that's the industry standard. It's the 200.
so we're still, but I mean, what we're doing, we're expanding that area.
Mhm.
And also, an interesting thing about the storage, because that's a real big issue. The pantry off the kitchen would help be able to put some of the things that you have laying around in the basement and around other places that might be pots and pans that could go into the pantry. There's a small little pantry closet, I believe, in the new proposal. Oh, sorry, yes, there is.
Yes, there is.
140 square feet.
Right.
So that could be a functioning quick area that would meet the needs of serving food, refreshments, and the needs of the center. And from an emergency management standpoint, Mark, I guess the kitchen area would be important for you. Prepare food.
If opening up, there's a shelter.
Yeah, let's make the assumption that we're still going for the major goal of being a shelter, even in its reduced size. But we'll need the storage, we'll need the, as Mike indicated, generators are there.
Yep.
The showers will be there. Well, the kitchen would be there. And we want to operate as shelter.
Anyone talk to Mike about subdividing that large room further than two?
Not really. I was looking for a practicality. You think, we have another room up front there?
No, I'm just saying that's still two large spaces, so depending on the size of the programs you're running. I'm just wondering, and I'm talking about not completely, but the flexibility of multiple subdivisions for small
Like
programs.
half and then maybe a
Yeah,
quarter.
I don't know, just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
We could throw it out. I think it's a possibility to look at. Reminds me of when I built some offices in Miami, when I subdivided them to make more offices. And if everybody felt like they were in a box. But this is a good sized area. You might be able to do that.
I think the other thing to consider here is that movable walls that are acoustically rated are very expensive. So the cost to put in a temporary, an additional temporary wall may be offset.
Depending on the type of wall, 'cause
Yeah.
you said acoustically. so
Well,
it's-
but you can't, if you're gonna have someone doing an exercise program on one side and someone serving lunch on the other side, or somebody having a bingo game or whatever on one side, and there's noise, there's always sound attenuation issues that have to be dealt with.
Can they be put in after the fact?
Can they? Yes, but the floor may need to be reinforced depending on the product.
I mean, if we know we want to do that, we know we want to make a few more, have the ability to do that.
I'll retract the idea, just,
I don't think it's gonna be practical. Based on, I certainly have never done anything with the senior center before. I have designed commercial office space. And based on my experience, that's gonna be more expensive.
my perspective is more like subdividing a gym at a school with kids. Because this is not, well, some of it would be an office space, yes. I more like that than an office, so I would agree. If I was running a business, I might be more concerned with, like, I've worked in financial service call centers, things like that.
Yeah, you can't
Um,
do those.
there's that noise all around you, absolutely. But I think about a gym, the schools that get subdivided and they're running, you have 30 kids running around like screaming banshees.
Yeah, but for all intents and purposes, I think the thing that I would submit for consideration is that in that case, those two rooms are being used for the same purpose, where in this case, they may not be. You've got 30 screaming kids on one side and 30 screaming kids on another side. In this case, you may have someone here doing a presentation on Social Security or Alzheimer's or, whatever. And then on the other side, an entirely different function going on. So you'd have to be careful of sound transference, I think, in that case.
So I guess if we look at the first phase of the design of the 6,221 square feet, that right-hand side, that multi-purpose split does accommodate for the two big rooms that are in the current building with growth. It's larger, obviously. But we outgrew the current building. The kitchen we've identified as a much better position. I think I'd like to have as we get through the design, I'd like to have Mike drill down that and put stoves, refrigerators, dishwashers, and all the appliances in there to make sure that the 5,042 square feet is big enough.
And even the cabinets and,
Yeah.
the counters are going to take up a room.
So the other areas on the first floor, as we look at them, is obviously we have the two lavatories, which are required. There's the elevator to go down. There's the pantry piece of the kitchen, a janitorial closet just to hold the cleaning supplies. There's a reading nook area, which, people could be doing some reading or puzzling. And computer activities, that's at 347. And that really equates to some of the rooms, space that's used upstairs as well, the computer area and some of the game tables that are around. So that'd be an area, that'd be a free area for people to kind of gather, congregate, use computers if they need them. And the center, it's interesting enough, they do have computers there for people who do not have internet or are not online at all.
I think we have 3 of them upstairs.
When we go to the other side of the building, the administrative area, Mike indicated we need a single user bathroom up there because it's a lobby area. That's kind of a state requirement, so I'm not going to question him on that. The office areas that are there today, the office area for Amy, office area for the administration.
Julie,
Julie actually proposed, in his proposal, could live downstairs. Or Julie, I'm sorry.
who's going to be in reception then?
No, I'm sorry, Julie's, I've got the people, mixed up.
Okay.
Julie's upstairs, correct?
Yeah, Julie right now is reception
Right.
and also doesn't really have an office, but she's got a space carved out.
Yeah, so that would be an area there where she can greet people coming in. And we talked about a door window concept with that first office coming into the front. She could see people coming in, could direct them.
So she's gonna have a private office.
It's a private area.
Was it? You know, officer behind the reception, is she at the reception area?
Right now, she's in a workstation behind file cabinets.
No, but I mean, in this,
Yeah,
because I
it's-
see reception on the left and I see an
I,
office.
that's not clear to me. I don't know. what
The
that-
reception area is probably an area where you pick up literature, where you could scan in like we have by the door.
My senior center,
My senior, you keep your application piece.
yeah.
You scan your tag in when you go into the building. There's information flyers sitting out there. Julie, the receptionist, sits behind the file cabinet. She'll be sitting behind in this office area of 120, 10 by 12. And she'll have that window. We were originally having a window area there, so she could meet people there. But if she needs to be on the phone, she could close that area.
So she's in the small internal.
So it says office one, on it. That's the one
Yeah,
that
she
she.
must be office one, because I think
Yeah.
Amy will probably be,
Office
Yeah, in the
two.
larger office.
yeah, and then Janet will take the other one.
There's a toss up there. The Janet could take the other one, or Janet could go downstairs, either way. There is an office.
It's outreach, right?
Yeah, she is.
There's a privacy issue with that. So I just want to make all the role of
Yeah.
the office one requires privacy, or is it a reception?
No, that's a reception area, I would say. There's no privacy there.
No, I would say, does that job require privacy?
There's no.
Yes.
Well, it does, because, yeah, she's making medical appointments and asking questions, but she has had to do that now right out in the front of everybody.
Oh, there's a multi-purpose office down by the piece that's missing is where do we put veterans aid, an office for veteran medical, podiatry, blood pressure screening, all those things.
They could go downstairs.
Well, actually, in this new rendering, it is downstairs.
But there's 4 offices I see here on the first floor, right?
There's a conference room.
Well, there's office 1, 2, 3, and a multi-purpose office. I'm looking at, sorry, I'm on the current, the old one.
We got a folder of paper.
But is that reception area, is there a demarcation, is there a door or a swinging something there to separate the offices?
What I hear people saying is that what the architect has labeled as a reception area is in fact, or will in fact not be a reception area, won't be manned by anyone. So his drawing is a bit deceiving.
Yeah, I just want to make sure there's no sort of, you see to the right of the reception desk, you see that little line? If that's like a door or something, then I'm just asking, is that like,
I think that designates a walkway. 3 foot
Yeah.
of space. Because you open the door.
what would the
So maybe
conference-
that's glass.
Yeah, what would
I
the
think-
conference room be used for if it's not open to the public, it's back in a private area? Why would that conference room need to be there?
I think in Amy's early discussions, we'd have it as a training area for the people. We could have it as a place to set up programs, to pre-stage programs. You could have meetings,
COA, so
COA.
town hall,
yes, COA would meet there. The Friends Executive Board would meet there. There would be committee groups that could go there. Friends right now, they kind of roam around wherever they can find a place in those 2 major areas.
My guess is Amy is still going to use volunteers for the reception area. Almost like a welcoming thing. Because she does that now.
Yeah.
Because Janet only has, I don't know how many hours, not Janet, Julie only has so many hours and she has to supplement that with volunteers.
No, it needs to be manned with volunteers and or Julie.
Right, but I think Julie will get office space one because it's close to the entrance.
Yes, that was the plan, I think. There's discussions and we haven't gotten down, drilled down far enough in the
Right.
design. To have glass or open partition so she could easy access or even have an open doorway. The key thing is that when she's on the phone answering phones, she's not in the middle of the program. Filing and storage is just for the historical stuff, which there's quite a bit of HIPAA requirements there and confidential material that needs to be filed upstairs.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay, we've got an office for Amy. We have an office for the secretary.
That's Julie and Janet would be the other, she's the outreach
Okay,
worker.
So, and does she do the veteran stuff too?
No,
No, that's an entirely different person.
yes, and that person could go downstairs if there was
But
an
how
opportunity.
often are they here?
Maybe once a week, maybe once every other week.
Yeah, it depends. Right now they're meeting, because we don't have good office places to meet. They meet at the coffee shop or the muffin house. And I don't think that's appropriate. I think they need to be able to meet somewhere.
I kind of like the idea of having a receptionist behind a reception desk to greet people. To be honest, I don't want that person, I wouldn't want that person in an office, although that she may need to use that office for certain things that she does. So I'm wondering if one of these offices could be multi-purpose.
That's kind of what that was why I asked the question. I'm just, I'm thinking if you have another use for that office and she may have confidential information, veterans information that she maintains. If that's the case, then she should have a dedicated space in this reception area. Maybe this reception area gets somehow walled off with a glass panel in the front.
A lot of the senior centers are like that because we visited a few.
Just like a doctor.
Yeah, but what's interesting
But
too,
that's behind it.
to Phil's point, is you say you don't want her in the middle of a program area when she's making phone calls, but you move the programs
Move the
out.
program, right.
So she's,
So she's
wouldn't be
not.
there.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, it's certainly not disruptive.
But I think I guess what I'm hearing people say is that this reception area might be reconfigured by the architect in some way that would better accommodate her and give us one flex office space. Is that the desire?
I'm not sure there's enough square footage to do both.
I don't know what she does, but right now she's in a very small workstation behind file cabinets. So she doesn't, I don't think she's got 36 square feet of space.
No, the only thing the things that she does work on is the publication of a monthly paper.
She does that upstairs.
She does that,
She'll go upstairs and do that, but to have peace and quiet.
well, it's a peace and quiet issue.
Oh, no, she has to. She has to concentrate if she's doing all the newspaper.
Can an office hold 2 desks and two computers?
When
when I work-
120 square foot office, probably not easily.
Yeah.
If that office were diminished by, maybe 10 by 10, take a foot off of there, then her, I just think that maybe this is an area that needs to be clouded and rejigged.
Okay. Good point. That can be reworked and maybe used for multi-purposes and or redone.
Right, and it strikes me that the conference room may not be big enough for open meetings. Like the Council on Aging meeting is an open meeting. So
Yes.
It seems like that, so this may be useful for meetings, but maybe not public meetings.
How many people were typically there?
8 to 10.
Well, there's 7 COA members and Amy is 8. And if we have a guest, all guests.
There's a select person and
You-
there's
You can fit 8 people comfortably, 8 to 10 people comfortably in a 200 square foot conference room.
And so,
But if it's gonna be
But-
more than that.
well,
then it
but
doesn't work.
it needs to be, there needs to be room for the public to attend, even if nobody does.
Right.
So I think that's where, like,
Good point.
to keep that in mind, I think there still may be meetings, but it strikes me that conference room could be another
Another-
office space for people who are not there full time.
Yep.
So like
Mhm.
veterans or,
Would it be all right to have The
tables.
public meeting downstairs. in the
That's-
meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that seems like that would be
And that would be an internal conference area.
right,
So
The multi-purpose.
If Amy wanted to meet with a small group of people. we could have
Right.
this-
right.
that area, okay.
Yeah, I think, right, if the multi-purpose room downstairs could be configured for meetings, that would be,
COA meetings held during the day.
Yes,
Yes.
10 o'clock on Wednesdays, second Wednesday of the month.
what's that?
Reading.
The reading though?
Or you,
Um,
if you don't have programs, you could actually take it.
Mm.
Sure.
Yeah, we have computer stations in there, don't you? Which takes up a chunk of the room.
And people do use those. I know there's at least one guy that walks down every day and uses them.
I just,
Yeah,
so from my perspective, I'm seeing how much we have to go downstairs at day one. That's sort of where I'm kind of leaning.
It looks like right now is perhaps one Wednesday a month. And the other thing you can do with the conference room is just put some extra tables on the side. You know, which gives you flexibility. If the public come in, they don't necessarily need to sit at the table for the entire meeting. I don't know how often the public come.
They haven't really come.
yeah. Only people, but
We don't have the draw that the select board has.
we got some reception area, conference area. I think this shows that we have a little bit of growth. And growth in the size upstairs. Any other areas on the top floor come to mind? Because basically we're replacing what we have and taking the inadequate administration staff and giving them offices and places to work. So we're replacing what we have with adequate size to support the needs that we had 10 years ago.
Sounds like you're trying to sell it. That's what it sounds.
I think this is really the time and the place for everybody to shoot holes in this.
Because, go ahead.
Oh, I like the way the file storage has been moved into the office suite area, because I think that's appropriate for access to those files and also just, yes, exactly. So even though it's losing an office in that space, I think it makes sense in terms of the configuration.
I'm kind of curious to know where, and I think Amy probably need to answer this, but is there more value in offices or conference rooms?
Well,
In that
we're desperate for offices right now.
And think about usage. One of the things that we will get asked about is what is the traffic, what is the usage of? So it's good to have a room for everybody in a conference room and for a one Wednesday a month or whatever the COA, right? Those are questions you're gonna get. So I think that I'd just be kind of curious, is office, like working office space more important than a conference room? Because couldn't somebody say, well, one Wednesday a month, why not use one of your,
It's
you know?
based on my understanding, though, it's not just one when, I mean.
No, that's just when the COA,
That's just the
For
COA.
COA.
Yeah.
right, but the friends meet.
There were a whole list of different organizations or groups that come in.
The
and-
community groups are downstairs. This is specific to the
Yeah.
senior center specific meetings that require a conference room. That's what I want to understand.
I treat the
Well, they'd use it for training also.
Actually, that makes sense.
They'd be using, because the people would come in, I'm here for training, and it would be easily accessible.
I mean, well, a conference room strikes me as a possible flexible office space. I mean, it like, you could have a couple of people working in a conference room on a project if more
Clearly.
office space.
You could.
Like especially, well, I think the conference room, because it's behind, it looks like there's going to be a barrier, right? This will be a like
So block.
senior center, council on aging business
Yeah.
area. So
tends to be
maybe not as much a room used by the general public in
Yep.
ordinary circumstances.
Now, CPA, I'll be right back. But my thing is you want to make sure that you can demonstrate the space is being used. You do not want dark offices and have somebody say, why do you build this
Yep.
huge building if the lights are off X% of the time?
I'll just add what you're saying from an outsider, and not knowing all functionalities. If we wanted to try and shoot holes, so to speak, in this. I mean, the questions that I would have,
Mhm.
I would love to see a list of each of the functions that are performed in the first floor office space. These are the programs that are supported. And this is the traffic that we currently have and the anticipated traffic that we foresee in the future, which is why we need to move into a bigger dedicated space
I
for
I
these
think you had a
services.
document, did you not?
Yeah, I've
Bill,
got a-
that
I got a
talked
couple
about all the
pieces.
Things that were,
We really need to blend that in. We have a list of functional activities that can get associated to offices. Then we have also a multi-page document of programs.
And does that include the amount of time that each program occupies for the office? So for example, I
No,
would
it
say, okay,
isn't.
we have,
It isn't. It could be. We probably should do
Yeah.
that.
We could add
We have
that.
to anticipate though for other programs that we weren't able to do because we didn't have the space. And we'll just be guesstimating
So
that.
you're gonna add future programs.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I think we could do that. We could put allocation of hours of time. We could get a utilization basically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and you would know that.
We can do that.
People sign in, they use their thing and they sign in and,
Sometimes they do.
well, we hope, we encourage that.
I think, also related to your point, it would be useful to see the activities and how much time they take currently to set up and break down, because there's always added time there that volunteers could be doing other things for the community rather than just
Yeah.
moving tables around, right? So that would be, I think, useful. Current space, it takes this many volunteer hours to run this program. New space, the program would be more constrained, like, more the actual programming, sure, it's still added for some setup, but not, I mean, it's just, those tables are painful.
I was gonna say, setting up the tables.
Yeah, it is.
You do it much more than I ever do.
Well, they do it 2-3 times a day, depending on what the programs are. We try to get as
It's very
many,
impressive,
much use of it.
yeah.
I think
So,
that-
but I feel like that energy could also be
I know.
put in other directions. So that's,
Right. Tables have to be cleaned off and sprayed and,
Yeah. So I'm gonna be the downer.
okay. Dave
So
down.
we're cutting down approximately 11% of the building space. We're not gonna save 11% of the costs.
Okay.
So I think we're at a pivotal point where we need to decide what we're really gonna do. If this is the best that we're gonna be able to get, and let's say we were at 13.2 with escalation right now, we're probably at 13.5, 13.6. Say you really did save 10% because we cut 10% down, we're still over $12 million. So if we're over $12 million, which I actually think we're gonna be more, because just because you take 10% off, you know what the cost, we're not gonna take 10% of the price. It could maybe take 8, 7, 5 even. Are we at a point where we really want to do an exercise to get to 12 and 12 and a half, or do we just stick with our original building?
Wait a minute, I thought,
I think
he said we were like 8.5 or 9 last week.
that's where he wants to get to. There's no way this is 8 or 9.
I think we gotta put the numbers.
There's no way this is $8 or $9 million.
You would know
I
because you
mean,
built this. building.
Just looking at what we cut down and average square
Sure,
foot
it's square foot.
cost,
A lot
and
of
then,
it's
and
finished.
even with the escalators, I just don't see a substantial savings here. And if we're gonna just nickel and dime a million, I know million's a lot, but when it comes to a future building, I'd rather not. I'd rather get behind, let's just go with the original concept and push it harder than try to save $1 million, if we can't do it. And I hate to be a downer, but I just don't wanna,
I would agree with you, Dave. I think if we can't get, if we still come in at 12 something, once, the numbers that he came with is Mike Petrovic's goal to get us to those numbers. And he said, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do,
Right.
but he hasn't gone through his estimator yet.
I can't see this being, and what would not be finished with this part?
A lot of the downstairs, like the food pantry he mentioned,
Okay, downstairs.
there was a whole,
I still don't see the,
Yeah, you're not gonna get that much savings on finish.
I just don't see it with
And what-
buildings.
what's the plan for the existing building and the land that's on?
We're actually
Board.
gonna come up with a assess value of that building. We got a couple of people who want to use it already in apartments. We're gonna get a value of that, so the value of that's gonna come in, I don't know, it'll offset future capital needs. It'll
That
be,
will help us too, because we can say that this is a savings for the town,
Right.
because you won't have to build that. Mike Goddard had asked Mike Petrovich that last week, and he said that downstairs, there'll be walls, doors, and windows. That's all they'd have downstairs in the unfinished areas.
That's the major cost, plastering, rugs, finishes.
I didn't say anything about rugs.
But I'm saying, no, that's not expensive. That's compared to the building cost.
you
The
start,
walls, the windows, the doors, that's where the cost.
you gotta put
is.
HVAC in, have to do it.
Yeah. So
So
I just don't know.
I think, I mean, I agree with you saying about just sticking with your original package. It doesn't sound like you guys were off by too many votes the last time, and
52.
you're guaranteed to see a better turnout for voting this time.
There
right?
was a pretty good turnout. though.
Yeah.
I mean,
Some
like,
people came specifically for that question.
right.
in the turn.
I mean,
They
like,
didn't
as to
anybody, but
elections
Do you think
go.
if you get aggressive and ramp up selling this existing one you're already working on, you could get the 50 plus votes you need to sway the vote?
You know, it's one of those elections that a lot of people will come out. But a lot of people had hoped that we had listened to them. Some people didn't like the location. We can't do anything about that. Some people didn't like the cost. So we thought we would try and come up with some compromise.
I think the cost was our fault though, because we came up with that
Wasn't that, well,
more expensive cost.
it's what we were told and
I know.
That's what we did, yeah.
I mean,
that's what
But
we
in
did.
some ways,
so it
that
was
was,
16.
I think it was the total cost.
it was the total cost.
Yeah.
Well,
Not the-
that was
not the
right,
tax impact.
exactly. I agree. And I mean, I guess that's my concern is, yes, we might win over, some people, but I worry that some people might get frustrated that it's like, well, I said no the first time. I'm still saying no, it's hard to know, right? I mean, it's like, and it makes me wish that we had a way of polling everybody who would like to vote, like, if we did
Feedback of
this,
the last one was a
like.
lot of people weren't informed. They were just last minute informed. They didn't know the whole entire package. They didn't understand the monthly cost to them and the yearly cost to them as opposed to seeing the high dollar amount. I think if when people had more information earlier on, it might have gone.
I mean, I'd be extremely curious, but on some of the information in regards to, how much time are people actually spending that are volunteers and supporting the senior center? And how many people are utilizing the programs and then educating the community in regards to I'll be honest with you, I'm a veteran. The last thing I ever would have thought in my life was I'd go to the senior center, and, see what the advantages are for veterans. I live a mile away.
Yeah,
In the town report, Amy does a full explanation of the number of volunteer hours. If you have the town report from last year, which was handed out at the town
Yeah.
meeting.
40
it has the number of
45
hours.
veterans.
But does everybody
Program.
get that information?
Well,
So
it's
I'm a guy who
available.
lives in town and I don't work in town. And maybe not aware of, all the things that are available in town. If somebody handed it to me and said, hey, did you know that in Mendon? And I was like, oh, I had no idea. I think that information may be missing.
So I guess I'm curious, how would we reach someone like you, right? I mean, like, how would we find you to hand something to you?
Right.
So-
I would say that, as much as I hate to say it, that, well, social media can be terrible. Social media can also be a friend. And just being able to go on social media, and if there was ever a post that was like, hey, the VA office at the Mendon Senior Center is open, I scroll through and I'll look and I was like, oh geez, I saw on Facebook that there's a VA center.
I guess,
You know that.
interesting enough, we just really started pushing our Facebook presence
Mhm.
6 months ago.
Yeah.
At any level.
And Karen has been great about,
Karen, yeah,
we kind of piggyback off each other. If I post something on the senior page, she picks it up and vice versa.
yeah, I would agree. I mean, You know, I went both ways because I thought, we went to the Hill for 13-2. People just didn't understand what we did.
Right.
There's a little chart that tells you all the people and accounts that Amy does every year. You know, we served, populations, 6,200. Age 60 over, we have 1,700 people. But we also,
The city is 65.
and we have, phone inquiries of over 2,200. We serve people who are less than 60 years old, 778. Fuel
Yeah,
system.
see, and those are, that's a powerful,
Highlight.
right, that's a powerful message.
Community.
Yeah, it's more than, you get fuel assistance, you get food, you get direction on your
What
Medicare.
are the chances that you might be able to connect with some of the people who use the services to give
I like that idea.
messages and do a little 30 seconds on, you know, I go down to the senior center every Thursday and I have lunch and it's free and whatever this, I went down to the senior center and they helped me out with my VA benefits. And you get testimonials of what's being done and why you love Mendon and why you love the senior center. I think then when you toss at people, it's 13 million. It's not about the number, it's about the community and the value that they get out of it.
Do you mean on ABMI? Are you talking about ABMI or are you talking about just social media?
Social media
Social
and
media.
ABI.
I think ABMI would be good too.
We do both.
So I don't know how many people actually follow those.
I don't go ABI.
Well, it's not easy to get, especially if you have like, you don't have Comcast, you don't have Verizon, you don't have a chance to get to it.
That's right. That's right.
So if you're using Amazon or something like that, you don't see them. You have to have local cable to be able to see them.
Dave, what do you think the cost is gonna be realistically?
I just took the numbers, the base numbers, and it comes out to like around 12 million. Of this new one.
Price tag on the-
And that was based on the average cost that he gave us when he first did it. The average cost in bulk now. It's like $1,130
Well,
per square foot, so that might go up a little right now.
he's assuming it goes down because you don't have all the overhead factors. He was trying to get into somewhere around $800 a square foot. I don't know how he's gonna do that.
Do we know the percentage of?
Yeah, if you can get $800 a square foot, that's the difference, but how do you
in the
get
town?
they get 800?
28%, I think.
28%?
Was it? Was it?
Right.
Elderly people 60 and over?
28%.
28%.
I mean, like those short snippets of information, you know, a third of your population is being served by this. That's a powerful number. I would argue that probably those who are 60 and under and don't use the services would have no idea.
Well, literally, until I stopped in there, I had no idea what that building did.
Well, same. I mean, we have a couple of people in the church that go there, obviously his dad. But I mean, I'm thinking about how do you capture
How
the
do you
rest of that audience that looks at it as a senior center. I don't need the services right now, so it doesn't benefit me. I was talking to my mom about how can you get more youth programs involved in there, and so the parents of these kids, we all know they want their kids to have somewhere to go. Maybe they have an investment in it. Their kids are going to be part of it in the future.
Well, that's where, Ann Mazar's group, they had CPA money that you've already paid as taxpayers. She was going to fund all of the recreational things, a basketball court, walking trails, shuffleboard, pickleboard. This wasn't just for seniors. This was a community use project. It was going to be run by the Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
And even though we tried to get that point across that that wasn't part of the original building cost, some people just said, you know, we can't.
Now, is
afford this kind of-
that money, are those funds still available?
Oh, yeah, they were voted on at the town meeting.
For this,
This space?
For that, right,
I
for the
mean-
recreational.
Yep.
part.
That has to be, that has to be the central focus.
They know about it because they voted for it.
Yeah.
So
But do they know that it's
it's
actually-
specifically for this. They had to vote for it specifically for this.
It came right after our question. At the town meeting, they first voted at whether or not we would be allowed to do this. And we got it by the skin of our teeth. It was by one vote.
Are people asleep on it, or are they like, hey, where are those activities? Where's
So,
that money? Where's that
I think it
money?
goes back to Facebook too. We were really heavily on Facebook during the vote. And Karen monitored it, but you get competing priorities out there. You had,
Right.
All
you know,
of
some
us.
ball fields, you know,
So,
a new fire station. And you started getting competing ideas out
Right.
there,
There were
and
people
and I think that hurt us.
Right, there were people saying like, oh, I'd rather spend $13.2 million on this other thing. It's like, but that's not how it works.
Right.
Yeah, you can't, it's not a buffet, you can't
But
pick one.
I mean, are there any other groups that you can team up with that will support you and get there? Where like we team up with,
The Lions have been outstanding with, we went around, believe me, we went around and did a lot of public speaking. All of us, the Brothers of the Brush, the
TV,
Lions, we had
School.
open houses, very poorly attended, and we had that out weeks and probably months before we're gonna be having this. Because we want to do it again, and we're thinking this time, we're gonna do it in the town hall rather than at the senior center. Because if you haven't been at the senior center, one thing you'll know, parking is horrendous down there. It's just awful, and the cars speed by, and so people would drive by and say, oh, there's no room, I can't go in there, and they just drive by. But anyway, no, I like your idea about the 30-second spots, and right offhand, I can think of a handful of people I know who would do it.
There are, I think, one of those, not part of this committee, but the communications group is gonna get together
Tomorrow,
tomorrow at 9:30, looking for ideas. And if you want, we need to be able to go out to get the voters, take the message to them, multi-pronged, not only Facebook, door to door,
Right.
yeah,
face to face.
you gotta.
So that's, those kind of activities have to get out there.
you get a postcard, a blitz, what, 1,500, something like that, postcards, people who we knew had voted. We had the list that they had voted in the last couple elections.
Yeah, so,
We worked on that too.
but
We had
There are like
handouts.
nonprofits you can bring on that, like we support like addiction recovery, youth overeating, groups and stuff like that. That is a big problem nowadays that necessarily there aren't room for. I know
we
the
certainly,
addiction recovery group, we meet, they're always looking for space. They're running out of space in their building. They're always looking for places to eat.
Yeah,
Lisa Truce's group,
it's this corner.
partnering up with people like that, you know, will help get your word out and say, we're gonna be using this space, so we need this building too. We need you guys to pass this building. Because we're gonna partner with them in the future and be able to have more programs there. And getting other. types
that's
of
ideally what
support
we're going to try to do with the community.
That's why it's called the Mendon Senior and Community Center.
And groups, it was designed to have groups utilize.
Yeah, I think what's just getting lost is the community center part of it.
It is used a lot
Because it's
now.
focused towards seniors right now. It's supposed to be, it was the senior center.
But it really isn't, to tell you the truth. The Boy Scouts meet there, the Girl Scouts meet there. The Lions still meet there. I mean, if you go by at night, you'd say, why are these seniors home in bed? Well, they are. And the community takes over.
So I'll share something interesting, right? So as pastor of the church, we have a nonprofit gym in the basement of the church. We have foster care essentials. We have a business that's on the second floor. We have Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Destination Imagination. If you ask anybody in the community what we are, they would say, you're a church.
For the church, yeah, same thing.
Are you in Mendon? Are you in Mendon?
In Hopedale.
Oh, Hopedale, okay.
None of those programs get associated with the building or the space. Yet those programs, I'm gonna be honest, reach more people than we do on Sunday morning.
Oh, I can believe that.
Right, they're putting that pass through in the ancillary
Yeah.
programs.
And somewhat more impactful in some cases.
So there's right, same challenge.
Yeah.
Right, there's an interesting challenge of how do you connect with people to let them know? I mean, we host an event, not to sidetrack, at Halloween,
Mhm.
and we get almost 200 kids. I want to say 50% of the people, when they come with their kids, they ask, what's this building? It says a sign in front that says it's a church, but they live in the community, their kids are in the community and they have no idea what it is, so.
I think Dave hit the nail on the head though, because there were a lot of people that were thinking, if I don't vote for the senior center, I'm gonna get my ball fields, or I'm gonna get this.
Yeah.
And we do have a planning committee. The selectmen are working
Yeah.
to have things lined up so that there'll be simultaneous and multiple projects going on at once.
Are there any competing votes that you be up against
It wasn't the
Not,
sheriff.
not on this,
on this?
not in this ballot. Right, so, yeah, I can tell you that because there were tight deadlines for getting questions onto this ballot, so I think on 7th, which is, tomorrow. So anyhow, we haven't voted on anything else that's going, on the ballot. But, I did want to say that, on that topic of fields, because I know when I was out in the community talking to parents, because I know other parents, I did hear a number of times, it's like, oh, but, we want practice fields. I would have voted for it if it had practice fields or some things like that, which I appreciated that people like brought that concern up. And so it's not necessarily that it makes sense. That I don't think this project makes sense to wed to playing field, just because it would need a separate study and there are different parking issues.
Right.
But we are going to try to bring together multiple boards at our next select board meeting. So to talk about this issue of like, how can we bring more practice fields to Mendon? Like what resources are there? What needs are there? And so my hope is that this committee will also be presenting the same meeting. So reaching some of the people who have those interests so that at least there can be, if not direct crosstalk, at least shared audiences. So that's my, so that that if we have, this committee come to the select board in 2 weeks,
The 21st, is
the
that the
21st.
We'd
If we had
love-
talked about getting on the agenda more.
We would love to be there. Count us in.
So, anyhow, so that's my hope. And,
Because I think there are some shared ideas and concepts.
I think so
I've
too.
talked to the superintendent. She really wanted to get synergy between the senior community. She thought it was so nice it was across from Clough,
Right.
because they could have the children experience with the seniors and develop programs. Love to do that.
I was just saying that I would like this committee to be at the meeting on the 21st, where we're also having that first discussion about how we're gonna go about making a plan for fields and land use. So I think it would be just useful to have people interested in both projects in the same room at the same time.
And I'm interested in those other things too. We have
Right.
grandkids in town
Yeah.
who need fields. And schools that need to be updated.
So
But-
I had another thought related to what you said. Is it
Todd.
Todd? I'm sorry, I'll just make up a name for you. Todd.
Everybody does.
Yes. So, but anyhow, so Todd, you mentioned like you thought it would be nice to have like testimonial interviews. And I wondered about whether we could recruit some, say, high school students who need service hours.
Yes.
And so that might also be like, getting those students might also be another like venue of like reaching people. So putting them to work for their needs, but also they'll learn about the project and who knows.
The BBT starts early, they're usually a week before the regular.
Yeah, and I know, well, like, I know even over the summer, there's students who are looking for hours. And I know my son was saying that he wants to start volunteering. Anyhow, so like, I don't know, I might be able to recruit a
We'll take a
15-year-old.
recruit.
But I don't know, it's a thought, and I thought, oh, that your idea of
And those
testimonials.
individuals, those young people are far more knowledgeable than we are in
Right.
regards to creating those videos.
Right,
Oh, yeah.
right, so, yeah, so.
5 hours of our time will be about 5 minutes of their time
Right.
to do
Plus the eye
video.
rolls.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea.
We're heading to our
I
youth
like
program
that
after
idea.
this, and I don't know if any of them are in the Mendon schools, but we can certainly. Ask them. We have a couple of kids on scholarship.
I mean, that's a great idea.
I know, I think you probably also went to the civics fair at Nipmuc, where they have, I believe it's juniors working on projects, and I know there might have been people like involved in those projects who would be interested in this. I know there was one student from Upton who was talking about doing a memory cafe at the Upton Senior Center. But I don't know, like, maybe she could be involved because it would be great if Mendon could host something like that.
Amy's always wanted to do that,
Yeah.
always.
So like, yeah, if we could get some kids
Yeah, I think
roped in.
Are there any Mendon like fairs or anything coming up that you guys?
October, we've already got a spot, we've already got a spot with the Lions. Yeah. I can tell you honestly, we went to the Rock the Block. We did the Halloween, trick or treat thing. We went to every event, every event.
Are there any concepts that have been created around the walking trails or any graphical images, any actual photos?
No.
You had a,
Any visuals that if you're at the booth, people will say, and it says, you know, your walking trails, and people are like, wait, there's
The
walking
trail's
trails.
gonna be like a Boy Scout project that they might have like trail markers made and.
We talked to when I met with the library, I was talking to them, I don't know if you've ever been down to the Bellingham Park, but they have these boards that are like plexiglass, and they're storyboards, and it's a whole story, and as you walk around the park, it tells the story, and you can either read it or your parents can read it to you. And they would be right down the street from us, and the trails would go right past the library. So we would really be like very close neighbors to share resources. It's a wonderful concept. I mean, maybe we failed in getting our message out, but we don't have a lot of people on the committee either. You know, it's.
So if you guys have any time, we'd love to, I think Karen's on it.
He's working on
Yeah.
it. So Mother's Guild works well. I mean.
I don't say failed. I mean, I think it was very successful for a first time coming to the voters. It was really, really close. There
I
were,
think you guys did.
it was, and so I think, right, we need more people. We need more resources.
We need more people on the communications team because as of now, Karen just joined. It's Karen and myself.
You can still count me in.
Yeah.
I'll be in touch, you know.
Well, we're gonna meet.
We also, there is a completely separate ballot question committee. Officially completely separate because the town cannot use any money to promote
Right.
votes.
Right.
However, a committee of independent, of like individuals
Mhm.
can. But it's just town resources cannot be used for any sort of promotion of a vote.
And even space.
Well, the space can be used for the community youth building.
Just be wary of. So.
Right.
The subset of this group that's been appointed.
And
So,
we can't have more than.
Right,
have
but
more
it-
than four.
here though, right, or as opposed to a committee member,
But anyway,
so.
a lot of great stuff around that. There was a meeting tomorrow morning at 9:30. That Peg set up for people who are interested. On that side.
I have to get your phone number after because I couldn't text you. I only had your email number.
But I'd like to talk about the basement floor. Oh, Mike, you missed a good point from the chief. When he does the numbers, he comes in at 12.2 or 12.5.
If we're going off the numbers that they gave us per square foot. And I actually think that might not even be accurate because they said just because you bring up a square foot doesn't mean it's cheaper. Some of the costs.
That's a lot more than what he showed us last week.
Yeah.
I mean, Phil just said he could get to $800 a square foot. I don't know. That'd be a miracle if you can get it from, what was it, $1,130 to $800 a square foot?
He was thinking the over percentage.
How we get to do that?
You know, the 12% and the 5%, but that's still not there. That's not $200 or $300. We don't have the numbers yet. That's why we don't have.
I mean, he said average building costs will come at least 1,000 a square foot. Even at 1,000 a square foot, just cut it down to you're 11 million, 11 plus.
Still a lot more than he was talking last week.
But I don't see costs still aren't going down. Stock market is, but costs aren't.
Stock market's going down.
That it is, but
Another recession.
basement floor, I want to talk about the basement floor.
Okay. Okay.
Shouldn't say basement, the lower level.
Roll up.
The lower level consists of the pantry, the storage areas that are used for medical, for projects and programs, a lot of storage out there. For the medical equipment. And it takes some equipment spot space. The food pantry, there's been a lot of different debate about it, but the new model shows it at 1,100 square feet. And if you looked at what's being utilized today, in the basement of the building, it's somewhere around 600 square feet. Peg, I'm not sure if the other part of the storage area, the basement sometimes is used for food pantry stuff. There's like two halves down there.
No, it would be, everything is on shelves.
Right.
Everything for the food pantry is on the shelves. The other area is used for, things like pots and pans and decorations and
Yeah,
yard sale stuff.
program stuff.
Yeah, it needs a good cleaning out, but
If we get a new building, we have a chance to purge.
yeah, there'll be purging going on, the great purge.
But essentially, it's down only about, from what it was, down only about 400, roughly 400 square feet. There is a room downstairs, which was a multi-purpose office, which in design could have been for the VA, visiting nurse. People who have those services could be downstairs. There's a game room area, which I was viewing as a game room activity, not necessarily a pool table.
I think Amy wants that. I think she thinks that will be a draw. A lot of the senior centers that we visited, they had pool tables.
My question is usage.
And the places that we visited, they were used. We went to probably 8 or 9 senior centers, pretty much our size.
Mhm.
I think even Bellingham has one too. I'm trying to remember, but
They do. They have a pool.
There's one.
Yeah.
It's used every day.
yeah,
It's a game room with one.
yeah, there's one there plus tables for whatever.
Other gaming activities.
Last week, they actually suggested two full pits to go in there.
Everybody was on the community can reserve and use, can
Anybody?
I
the teams go like,
Goal
play
downstairs for
pool?
those multi-purpose rooms was that, aside from the Lions and the Brothers of the Bush and the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts, that this may be an opportunity to have people rent it out to
Yeah.
do baby showers and.
They were talking about that for the upper room as well. The larger room, if somebody wanted to have a function.
Yeah, I think that was another question that I had. If in fact that turns out to be a consideration, then this reading up with the computers and stuff and may need to be behind a locked door.
I think, yeah, the security, some doors and things we may need.
Yeah.
But I think if the upstairs multi-purpose rooms, the townspeople, they could rent the thing for the cost of just getting it clean. And that'd be a great resource for the townspeople.
Because we would never be allowed to keep any of that money. Any money that's collected would go right into the town. So it would be to offset the cleaning, but
It'd be operation.
we'd not be making no profit in this.
Well, we could buy.
No profit.
Oh, sorry.
Didn't you sign those ethics papers?
Oh, I didn't. I gotta sign them again. But at the end of the day, I think we've shrunk it. We've knocked out some capabilities for more community activity, I think. Because I think once this thing germinates and gets rolling, I can see this building running programs for young adults in the summer.
being near the school, I think here.
Yeah, I think you're gonna be running summer programs down there.
You have even after school stuff.
Yeah, after school stuff
They
for,
can walk across the street.
yeah, for yoga, after school, for dance, after school. And there's a lot of potential for a building that's available to the community. I still believe it.
I want to tag on to the food pantry.
Mhm.
I know there's a number, but are people aware, how many people are being fed?
We have all those numbers.
And are those numbers being distributed in a way that, is the food that is being provided, is it enough?
Yes,
And if it's enough, is it in excess? And then if it's in excess, does that go to another food pantry?
Right now it goes to another.
right now it goes to, yeah, sometimes it goes to Milford, to theirs. The Boy Scouts and the townspeople have always, in the schools, they've always been very generous. Food, for social media, when we need things, it's put on the page and the townspeople do respond to it. It meets the need now, yes, the food pantry meets the need. We have people who come in and do their own shopping, and we have other people who give us a list of things. When they pick up their groceries, we give them the list, they get it back to us before the next month. and we provide for them. And we have money, we get funding from the public. People give privately to buy a lot of the non-perishables.
And they have home deliveries as well
We have home deliveries as well.
for the people who are homebound.
That's all run by volunteers, all by
And
volunteers.
that's, you know, and back in 23, there was 410 families and 131 home deliveries.
And they're not just seniors,
And
it's
if
any
you-
family.
Can you break that down more simplified? This is how many people we're feeding every week.
Don't know.
She might
How
have
many
that. She
families?
could have done that.
You may have.
But I think like some of that information is it's more powerful than the bigger picture. You know, did you know that your donation fed 12 families in Mendon this week? You know, something along those lines.
That's something.
Well, that's why it's good to have some new people here because it helps.
I don't think people realize that's a need in Mendon.
But it's not just seniors, it's young.
Yeah, everybody.
Well, graphics is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
And that message needs to go out. Like it's not just a food pantry for the seniors.
Right, it's
Food
everybody.
pantry For the town of Mendon and the community. And in the event that we have access, that doesn't go to waste.
No,
We partner with other organizations to continue to feed.
because we
talked
won't
about that
give
last
anybody anything that has an expiration date. Though some
Right.
others will, because they know that's really kind of like a guest date. So that's completely
I mean, the
looked at.
first thing that I thought of was like, okay, so we're increasing the size of the food pantry. How many people would feed?
But
Do we
it's-
really need a
I
food
mean-
pantry that big? I know it's not that.
It's not
much
all
bigger.
that much bigger.
Because of the storage space.
Right, we
There's
got rid of the
food pantry
storage.
plus storage.
But are the folks in the community aware
No,
that there
we
is a
talked about
need
this the
for
first go
action?
around, not just food
Food
pantry,
pantry?
but outreach. So how many, outreach activities or people have we supported? So the community side, the statistics around what we're doing for the community probably needs to be amplified. I think.
We'll have to rely on Amy to give us those statistics.
But the thing about all, it's outreach, it's VA stuff, it's the visiting
It's the
nurses.
fuel assisted. I
Yeah.
think that a lot of people in town, if you ask them, they would know that we have a food pantry.
I have no idea.
You didn't, well,
I think-
thankfully you've never had to use it, but
Yeah.
I think people have a cursory understanding, they don't understand the impact. And the impact is sort of what I think.
That's an interesting thing. Impact. It goes back to testimonial pieces, but that's, some of this could be sensitive. But if you look at it, there are people, I think, who the community, I'm speculating, who we served and took care of along the way, but now they're a regular generosity, monthly contribution. Yeah. So you get at the others, I think fuel assistance, I mean, there's, here it says 45 families and 23 that have.
Yeah, same can be done for emergency management, not so much as how many emergencies did you see,
Right.
nobody cares about emergency management until you need it.
Didn't need it.
Right, exactly, but.
We're heating and
What's our needs? And be able to do. We hope we never have to, but,
We have to pick two.
right now our capacity would only be 35. If it was an emergency, we could only house 35 people. That's it.
At that center.
At that center, right?
In the new facility?
125, I think, is it? But it would be across from the Clough School, which there'd be some overflow there.
Central emergency management.
Yeah.
And we do heating and cooling on those hot summer days.
Gets you the most.
Yeah, the activities of the senior center cease and we become heating and cooling. Yeah.
I think, there's a lot of great ideas coming up. Mike Petrovic, the 19th or the 20th, somewhere 2 weeks from now, roughly. A little less than 2 weeks. We'll be back and running and off of vacation and running numbers.
When's he back?
19th, I think. Getting close.
Yeah, it's putting us off our schedule.
Mhm.
I think, Bill, that there needs to be some sort of consensus as to whether or not we want to try to reduce the size of the building. And I think that decision really needs to be pretty much made.
Do you mean from what he just gave us?
No,
You mean from the original?
from the original.
I think,
Whether or not
I think we kind of did that a couple of meetings ago,
We have direction from the board.
and the board has said to reduce the number.
That's what my point is that we're doing here, if we're not substantially reducing it to reduce the cost, we're nickel and diming a good center to take some visibility away from it.
Well, but I mean, I think that the new proposal is still a good center. I mean, it's still, I mean, that's the thing, still a substantial gain in office space, in kitchen size, in all of the areas.
Function capability.
But we would sway voters from 13 to 12.
No, those aren't the numbers that he was talking last
I
week.
know he wasn't,
So I wanna.
I'd like to see where.
Right.
We gotta push Mike very hard to give us real numbers.
And I have to see, so you left, it's about 11% reduction in the building. So if you just say, all right, you're just saving 11%, where's the other savings coming from? Because he said you can't go off with square footage because to reduce it, because usually it still costs, some of the costs are still there, the road's still there, the site work's still there. You're not reducing it. So that's where I don't understand where he's coming from
We
because.
talked about some of the site and landscaping work. The road is still the road, that's an issue.
Yeah,
That
that cost doesn't change anything.
unless we could leverage the tenant who's moving in this.
I just wanna make sure that when I keep hearing the word term road being used, we change that to
Driveway.
a driveway.
that's right, we did.
Still, it's not a road because
Yeah,
there's
no,
not much.
I guess I just would like to see the cost sooner.
Yeah,
to see-
Yeah.
Absolutely, because
Yeah.
we saw 2 columns last meeting and one was 9.5, one was 8.5.
I'm sorry, I couldn't make it for that. I just don't see where you,
Yeah,
being involved with so many building projects, I just don't see it.
Dave, to that point, we saw the numbers and I just said, all right, not to quote the number, but are you saying those numbers I just saw are directionally correct for what you're showing us? He said, yes.
Well, I guess we'll push on hard.
Yeah. Cause that's gonna, yes,
But if we
I
can,
would agree with Dave. If he comes, oh yeah, it was that, but now it's really back up to 11. Then I'm like, well, that's,
Since he kept stressing to us before when we were trying to take the square footage out that you're not really doing much. You really have to do substantial. He had said in our previous meeting, I wish I was here last week, you had to cut a third off the building to get to 10 million. So they'd have to see 33% get cut off and I see 11.
it did
But
depend.
I do think the difference from 13 to 11 could persuade some people, if that's really what it is.
Well, we need numbers. The metrics.
I don't see where we're losing functionality with this new design. So
No.
this is actually the right thing to do.
Mhm.
You know, is to kind of gone back, we sort of looked at it and said, okay, we can still make it work.
Right.
Reducing the cost of the taxpayer, may not be everything we wanted. But according to last week, it was more than what I wanted. I was very happy. Thanks, Dave.
Well, I mean, if I had for cutting off a little bit, I don't want to cut up too much function.
Right.
I don't want to make that room, the big function room smaller, just to save money, when in the future, we probably need it.
We actually expanded the kitchen, so the changes I
Right.
see here actually make more sense to me than what was before, which is why I'm pushing on things like office space. I'm kind of like, that's
I agree with that, cutting
Right.
that down. You can always create that more later somewhere.
right.
But you can't create a big room with that.
No, but the room is the same. I thought the room was.
Same.
He said he may have to cut it down.
No.
He did say that.
And we also pushed back on the paint. He thought the food pantry was too big. We
wanted
actually,
it-
last week,
We pushed back.
well, he thought it was a lot of space. You said we're not taking it out.
That's exactly what I said.
Let's go recircle to the
I'm
question.
speaking from the Council on Aging.
And I think
It's
so,
not
but
going anywhere.
I think everybody in this room said, no, the food pantry needs to be at that location.
I hate to be repeating something for next
So the
week.
question at hand is, this committee has been chartered by the select board to reduce the cost substantially.
Substantial.
I know.
No,
No, substantially came.
But I don't think we charted. I think we were approached with a proposal that we're going to come back the second time. We think it makes sense to reduce,
Right.
and we said, yes.
We
think that
agree,
makes sense.
and I mean, I think we still think that it makes sense. We need to explore that.
I just-
And
we need to-
thoroughly
we can
explore it.
move
You
it
want to-
along Faster.
I agree, right, it's, yeah, I think we all want we want the real numbers now, but apparently we have to wait.
Yes.
So
And it just,
you take the box,
personally,
try and guess.
as a member of the select board, I was saying, yeah, you should reduce the cost.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I don't think the board chartered you to do it. I would be really clear, given.
Great, I'll bet it.
Yeah.
Because we were looking at all the different avenues. As a committee, we came back, cost, communication.
And to keep the FinCom on board too, because we got backing from both of them.
Okay. So I think I need to push Mike to get numbers sooner. As soon as I get numbers. But
There's an elephant in the room.
What is it?
Storage. in this old building, we've got
Zero.
no, you've got 1 million square feet of, not 1 million, I'm being facetious, but you've got a lot of storage space still, you know, it may not be used effectively.
Efficiently, yes.
But there's none in the new design.
Well, I mean, but the new food pantry is the size of the old food pantry plus the storage.
But let me, just the new food pantry, really what needs to happen to do programming here is to identify what the linear square feet of need is. So maybe tomorrow while I'm there, I can go downstairs and look at the linear square feet and see how that's configured in here. Right now, it's a runway and you've got two aisles for all intents and purposes, but it's a very long, it's efficient. This might not be as efficient, so you may need more square footage to accommodate the same linear square feet of storage space. So that's something that needs to be identified.
On the other thing, but in the multi-purpose area too, when we shrunk it this way, we made some of the storage upstairs smaller.
What we also talked about the slab last week. You're gonna talk to Mike. Mike made the offhand comment
Oh,
that
yeah, I heard that.
he goes, well, we could just, if we just made the whole thing like a rectangle and
Sure.
use much slab, it would be, it's easy to do once. And we're like, why don't we
That's good.
reduce our slab and create storage?
I want to test that with the cost on that, because I pushed back on. I did tell them I want that done, but there's a cost. I said, we need to start seeing cost. You know, my list.
Right, but I just, when you throw something out there, it's gonna.
So you're saying don't do a slab down and make it storage?
Well, nothing but what if we cut off part of the slab and we actually create storage for, yeah.
It's unfinished space for storage.
You get it. Yeah, Mike.
Mikey. Oh, Mike.
He said he could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Karen, I mean, also, when you're considering storage, I'm just asking you, but there's also new storage upstairs in the multi-purpose room. So I think currently the storage downstairs has things that are brought upstairs.
Yeah,
right?
that's
So-
what I don't know. There's just,
Right, so-
I was overwhelmed when I went down.
Yeah, so I mean, I
What
think,
they're storing too, is there stuff that is never pulled out? Is there,
I,
like,
there's.
do we have a spring cleaning to say?
Sure, there is yarn. I
Right.
know, I don't know how.
There is, on Thursdays, people come and
Yeah, so
things
there's-
like
there's
that,
a
and they
bidding.
take things home. And when we have an event coming, like a fair or something, then they take a lot of that home and they make things to sell.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, they do use that. But there is, I mean, there is room for, it has to be kind of cleaned out. You know, God bless Amy, she puts in so many hours. I mean, her vacation started last Friday. On Saturday afternoon, she was at the senior center all afternoon. I saw her car there. You know, and now hopefully she's up in Maine where she was supposed to be,
Yeah.
but
From a storage standpoint, though, I think the emergency management, the expansion.
That was
That was the
lacking.
thing.
There was nothing, there's nothing there
Box
for
and
emergency management.
Right now, it's all stored in the garage.
it is.
Well, you've got how many outbuildings? And do they go?
is the current plan still to have the garage?
Yes.
Okay.
The same size, a 3-car or a 2-car,
Yeah,
or a car?
Where's the garage?
I didn't think.
so if you look at the floor,
I thought we put that off. You didn't put that off?
It's off to the side.
off to the side, we haven't scrubbed it from the plan. Need a garage.
I don't see a garage anymore.
Well, it's not attached. It's
It's off to it's off to the
It's-
side.
a separate
But is
building.
that in the cost estimate?
I thought it was. Well, I don't know. I haven't seen the final copy.
I mean, it was in the original cost estimate.
Right. Okay.
But I think it was not a huge amount in there. I mean,
Right.
Oh, no, it was like
like
600,000.
600,000, right, I mean,
So, big amount for a garage.
it is a big amount.
200.
Okay, well, so I mean, yeah,
Well, the problem is when you have
It's the
contingencies and all.
Right.
contingencies, prevailing wages, the guy who holds the broom for $70 an hour,
That's my retirement.
Massachusetts.
But I get the message on the cost. I'm gonna talk to John and have him start working and see. I think he's around and available. Mike's got an out of office until the middle of this week coming.
Amy's back.
And I think it's tough for people to understand this too, like there's costs,
They come back.
you know.
Oh, okay, all right.
People can't wrap their heads around this cost, how much it is.
It's back to
This
19.
building in Rhode Island or New Hampshire, you could build it, and it's 7 million, 8 million. You know, that's the difference with prevailing wages, from what we have to do in Massachusetts. And literally, you know, our building here, 6.5 million at the time, the architect said 2.5, 3 million in New Hampshire.
Okay, the other thing we need to do, and we're working with a website presence with Jeremy, which is just town information. We're also working on trying to generate numbers around the multi-million. How much would it be impact? And he's looking at two different methods. I think Dave, I just saw his note today. Even maybe yesterday, where he has different methods of doing it. You know, take the bond of it now or it's better. So we gotta make sure those numbers don't come back with a smaller number. Say the cost comes down, but the impact in taxpayer goes up. We can't have it.
So we're gonna be getting that from Jeremy rather than the town treasurer?
Jeremy will coordinate it. He'll
Sure,
he'll
okay.
coordinate through our lending agencies or however he does it. He's got a financial background.
Okay.
So he will be handling that number for us. He's committed to it. So that's good.
Multiple scenarios.
Good.
10, half, 9.5.
Do you have the spreadsheets? I didn't have the original spreadsheets. Mike, do you have them? The Excel spreadsheet?
First time we ran numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you send it to him? Because I don't have the Excels, I don't think. He was looking, he asked me for the Excels rather than the PowerPoint. Okay. Any other elephants in the room? Welcome to the new members. We have
Yes.
we need your help.
Perfect.
Thank you. And then numbers, we gotta get the numbers and communicate it again. But Dave, your point's well taken. I don't, you take 11% off, you can't get, 11 doesn't equal 33.
And that was his words, you have to take a third of the building off. Get the 10 million.
Right. So we gotta find out what.
What's his numbers really mean?
Up his sleeve.
Well,
I'm kind of hoping that statement though, Dave, was sort of off the cuff as we were adjourning. You know what I mean? Maybe you sort of threw it out there without really thinking it through. I'm a glass half full guy.
But then you take a third off.
Yeah.
I don't know, logically, that would make sense. Take 10% off and save 3 million.
Okay, good. I think,
Yeah.
are there any other comments or new business we want to talk about tonight? With that, do I have a motion to
I'll make a
adjourn?
motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
I.
Okay, we will wrap it up. We'll meet in 2 weeks, unless I get data numbers sooner, then we'll have a quick meeting.
All right, so.
The 20th.
20th.
That'd be right before your-
20th. Amy will be back and Mike P will be back.
We should both be back on.
Yeah, Amy's back on the 19th. Thanks for